Hello, strong people. Week 1, day 2 of off-season work. I already did some warm-ups, but it's a max effort upper day. So 5 rep max, camber bar bench. It's been a long time since I've had a camber bar on this. So this is a camber bar. So the weights sit down here. Because it comes down, it swings. So it's big on stability. I like squatting with it. I think I actually have some camber bar squats coming up. I could be wrong about that, but I'm a big fan of it. It's been a long time since I benched with it, so I don't really know what to expect. Plus, it only weighs 30 pounds. That's because it's made from, I think this is Titan brand. I honestly don't know. But it's made of like their axles like all welded together really mediocrely. I'm a little bit excited to see how it goes. Just bench in general. So 5 rep max camber bar followed by a close grip bench, like 2 sets of 10 and a plus set or something. But last night I was squatting, obviously, and I was using a regular bar. I honestly think it's been like 4 years since I back squatted with a regular straight bar. So I can tell you so far warming up, my shoulders, elbows, wrists, they're all a little bit tight, a little sore. Just from being in a position that I haven't been in a long time. So we'll see if that affects anything. I don't really think it will, but just want to make sure I get everything, blood flow before I get up to the heavier stuff. So I don't really have much else to talk about. It's Christmas Eve, a nice little Christmas Eve lift. Got to be a quick one, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I got to be somewhere at 2 o'clock, and it's like 11:30 now, and it's like a half hour away. Plus, I'd like to shower before. So I got like an hour and a half to do this, which shouldn't be a problem. I just have to go a little bit fast. I like to take my time too much sometimes. But I shouldn't be doing that in the off season just because, the quicker you work in between sets, a little bit of cardio, I guess you want to say. I don't know. I think it's better for muscular endurance. There's upsides to not super long rest times. But in strength training, a lot of the times it needs to be a long one. Like I know Thor does like 10 minutes between top sets on dead sometimes, which might seem like a lot, but whenever you pull something really heavy, it gives you, it takes a little time to get back, lower the heart rate, ready for the next set. So we're not doing anything that crazy today, so I'm going to quit blabbering and just throw some weight on the bar, see what happens. Well, that didn't go to plan. The weight is not the problem. Like, I was very surprised at how easy it felt. But stabilizing that's a whole different thing. It's just difficult. You can see off the chest that's where I try to be the most explosive, obviously. And it just doesn't work with a camber bar. So I warmed up that way. And that's how I've always pressed with that bar. Slow the whole way through. A consistent bar speed. And I just couldn't stabilize it. That's all there was to it. Now, the issue with the camber bar when using it for bench, you can't really set safeties on it. Because of the way it hangs down, it just doesn't really work. Like, you could set safety super low to catch it, which I probably should have done, but I didn't. And it wasn't the end of the world. And I would have been fine either way, because the what I showed you before, the connecting posts that connect the uprights on the yoke, they actually keep the bar from like hitting the bench, the whole way down. Like, there's still a gap between where I'm grabbing the bar and the bench, so I wouldn't be crushed. If it went backwards on my neck or whatever, I would have been fine. Maybe a little bit scary, but it would have been fine. It wouldn't have, crushed my neck or anything. But yeah, had to dump it. Not ideal. The weight's doable, but I'm very surprised how easy that weight felt. I did not expect to get up to 350 today. Those 2 reps there alone would be a PR for that bar, I'm pretty sure. But I'm disappointed. Yeah, more disappointed of just not getting the reps than having to bail on it. But that's a risk you take when you use a bar like that. I thought about going back down, but to hit a proper weight, I knew the weight felt light enough to go from 300 to 350, no problem. I knew the balancing would be the issue, and wasn't good enough, so that's how it is. Thought about going back down to like 325, making sure I got a 5 rep max, but I don't think it's worth it. So I'm going to move on to close grip bench. It's actually set to 12, I'm pretty sure. I think I said 10 earlier, but I think after reading the program it's 12. 2 sets of 12 and a set of 12 plus, I think. Probably ascending weights each time. We'll see. When I get to that 12 rep range, it's hard for me to know exactly where I'm going to be at. So I'd like to be close to 300. I think I've done 315 for 10 or 12 before. I know I've done 10, maybe 12. So I don't know if I can get that today, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But let's get to it. I'm not used to this hypertrophy stuff. Double overhand, which is normal. 3 sets of 8. Let's do a set. 3 sets of 8 and 1 plus set. Oh, that feels strong. I like that narrow grip. I never do narrow grip on this. So, I drastically misunderstood or drastically overestimated where my close grip would be today. The thing was, as soon as I put on 1 plate, just to get a feel for a normal power bar again after doing the camber bar bench, I knew I was going to be in for a struggle. I put on 135 and I was like, my muscles are already kind of fried. And that's good, because that's what, kind of the point of a camber bar. Anything that you need to really balance like that, it hits all these little things you didn't even know existed. So that was, even though I didn't do too much camber bar work, just 5 building up to a top set, which I failed, it still hit a bunch of little muscles that just don't normally get worked on regular old barbell movements. I really like camber bar bench, especially in my chest. I don't use my chest that much in benching. I know that sounds weird, but I'm very front delt, tricep dominant benching. And a camber bar like that, it really makes me, like I have to really focus on controlling everything. So I feel like I'm using more muscles than what I would normally. And it felt that way moving on to close grip bench because my triceps were annihilated. I did 275, I did for 12 for first set. At that point I knew, I was like, I can't go up. It's supposed to be ascending sets. So ideally I should have done like 245, 255, 265 or something. But I went to 275 and I pretty much did an AMRAP every set is what it felt like. I only got like 6 or 7 on that last one. It wouldn't have been there. It'd be nice to have a spotter to where I could do some partials or some assisted reps, but I don't have that luxury, so it is what it is. So I might be missing out a little bit there, but it's not the end of the world. So don't want to talk too much because I am in a bit of a rush. So let's do another set. Oh, I really like that narrow grip. I'm surprised at that. Back cramping a little bit. I still have this squat rack over there for sale. My Titan T2 rack. I'd like to get rid of it. I don't really have much use for it. Not with, oh, that's what I was gonna mention. Now when I failed that camber bar bench, that would have been a lot worse had I been on my Titan rack. Reason being is, I got this rack, this Rogue one, especially because of how deep it is. It's 49 inches deep by 49 inches wide, I think. I think it's a square, basically. And I wanted more room in the rack. So I felt very, I'll just say claustrophobic, I guess, in the Titan rack because the bars front to back were so close. There was like no room for air. On this one, there's a lot of room for air. Now, had I failed that, you probably can't see from there, but the bench itself is almost the same length as the squat rack. Depth, whatever you want to call it. Had I failed that bench in the Titan rack, when I went to push it forward like I did, I would have hit the rack. So I would have been pinned. Not saying I couldn't have still gotten out of it. But then there's a second issue there where the Titan rack does not have, an elevated bottom like these do. So I would have been pinned, legitimately pinned. So I don't want to say this rack just saved my life, but it didn't not save my life. In the future, probably don't use clips on the camber bar. I was a little bit worried with the wobble that plates could slide off, but that was probably a dumb thing to be worried about. But either way, so far so good. Let's bang out another set here. My back is still cramping up a little bit. I need to hydrate. One more set of 8+, I believe. I don't know what's after that. I like this style of training though. This stupid sandbag needs to move. It's in my way. That's a little better. I like this style of training where a lot of my accessories, I think Sam Sulek does something like this. I haven't watched him in a little bit now, but when I did, I think he did something similar. So I'm pretty much doing one set of a specified rep, like one set of 8 or one set of 10. Not on this movement, but most of my other accessories. I'm doing like 1 or 2 sets of 8 to 10, 12, somewhere in there. And then an AMRAP. So it's really only 2 sets at like each exercise. And that makes you go a little bit harder knowing you only got 2 sets. You got to really maximize what you're trying to do. And I don't think I'm doing that well on this. But it is 3 sets plus a plus set. So the way I know my muscles burn out, I feel like I'm not going to be able to hit too many reps on this because I'm about to do a plus set. But I never do narrow grip lat pull downs either, so I don't really know. I guess it's not narrow, it's medium grip. Let's see. What was that, 13? 12, 13? I know what I was thinking. Oh, God. Not mad about that. I don't want to sit here and talk too much more, so I'll check in with you here in a second after whatever exercise I decide to record next. All right, so this is pretty much all I have left to do. I'm going to make it quick because it's only 2 sets, and I got to get ready to get going here. So, oh, my back is still tight. Still feeling the effects of that Zercher squat. All right, so I'm switching up the variations. Supposed to be barbell curl and lying tricep extension. I hate both of those movements. For barbell, I can't, like my wrists don't turn in enough to actually curl. I don't, like this feels so unnatural. Like I could get a good pump just by standing here doing this because I hate biceps. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna do them, so let's do triceps first. So this is my favorite tricep movement for sure. We'll superset with just some banded bicep curls. I'll try it this way. Use my body as like a preacher curl. And now an AMRAP. I know it doesn't seem like much, but it is. It's enough. Drop it down to one band. Oh. All right. Come on. Don't move. Done. Not a bad session today. A little underwhelming in general. But short turnaround after training last night too. I don't like to do like a day before and then a morning training after. I like to have like 24 hours in between sessions at least, but it doesn't always happen, and it's not the end of the world because it's not like I train legs twice. Lower, upper, not a huge deal. I definitely feel squatting yesterday in my wrists and elbows a little bit, but nothing I think that really affected the overall workout. So that's really all I got for today. No training tomorrow, it's Christmas. Thursday, I gotta go back to work. I think I have deadlifts that day. Something weird about this prep is we're not doing true deadlifts. Well, it's a deadlift, don't get me wrong. But it's sumo deadlifts off of like a 2-inch block. I don't really know what I'm gonna use for a block yet. Might stack up a couple mats. Yeah, we'll do something like that. But it's sumo off of a 2-inch block just to wake up the hips, glutes a little bit. Plus I said I wanted stronger legs. I wanted a stronger squat this off season. So that's why squats, it's pretty much why squats day 1 in the rotation. So that's the main goal. My legs tire out more than anything else when it comes to these events. They just gas out. When it comes to log cleans, they gas out, which causes the push, or like the dip and drive part of the press to not be as strong. Moving events, my legs go before anything else. So doing these high reps on squats and low reps, heavier weight low reps, just getting stronger in general. Both high reps and low reps for heavyweight. It just doesn't matter. It's going to help me regardless because my squat days were usually event days with a squat first. That's all it was. Not a ton of leg accessories. But that's kind of switching this off season, which I'm a big fan of so far. After just one day, well, 2 days we count today, but obviously today wasn't legs. So that's the focus. So I'm excited to see how sumos feel on a Thursday. Every now and then my groin will feel that, just because this is the sumo stance is not something I feel or use all that often. I never do anything that wide in strongman. So we'll play it a little bit safe first day probably, especially with, I'm sure it's going to be high reps. So we'll see what happens. So until then, go out, get strong, stay strong. Sorry, I thought I was hearing something. Go out, get strong, stay strong, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. And Merry Christmas.